What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this video I have the pleasure to have as a guest Keith from Page One, and we are going to go over a very powerful topic that not a lot of experts and people are talking about in the Amazon space, which is storefronts. I came across few of his posts on LinkedIn on how, with some case studies that he was able to share, that I encourage you to check them out as well. And in this video I'm really asking him questions that really going to help you and open your eyes to the possibilities and features with storefronts to help you drive more sales and grow your brand on Amazon FBA. So guys, I have here Kit O'Brien, and Kit, why don't you introduce yourself, give a background, how you started Amazon, how you got into this space, and what you're up to now.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on, Tomer. I know we're only like 25 miles apart here in South Florida, so it's great to connect. But this is it. We've got such a hotbed in South Florida for Amazon businesses and e-commerce businesses, and so there's a great amount of talent here, which is cool. I guess real short, I mean, I'm the CEO of Page One. We're a full service Amazon agency based in South Florida. And our business is broken into two halves, right? We have a managed service side of the business where we manage advertising for clients or manage the full brand on Amazon. Typical client for us there, and it's a little bit all over the board in terms of categories. Advertising will work with a lot of people if they want to pull in our team. Brands, we tend to manage companies that do anywhere from 1 to 20 million or so. But I've been in the industry now, I guess this is about 8.5 years. This is my second company as a service provider. I was a previously partner of the very first review company ever to hit Amazon third-party sellers, which is called I Love to Review. And that was a fun, short run of 2 years, but that really got us into the industry and met a lot of great people. And so it's been quite the journey, man. We've seen a lot of things. And Amazon certainly has changed over the years.
Yeah, for sure. And you saw a lot of things probably in 8.5 years, which is great. And you work with small and big brands, which is really amazing. I'm sure you have access to a lot of data, and that's actually how I came across some of your posts on LinkedIn, which really grabbed my attention. And I was really excited for you to come here and talk about this, specifically the storefronts data that you shared. So why don't we start with just giving a little background for people? What are storefronts? How they kind of evolved in the last few years to what we actually see now?
Sure. It's a great example of something that's changed substantially on Amazon, right? I mean, 8 years ago, nobody had a storefront, right? Other than massive, huge brands, and people really didn't shop there at all, right? So I remember when stores kind of first came out on the FBA side, on the third-party side, it was just not a priority, right? Like people question, how do people even find a store, right? How do they get to a brand store? Who goes there? Who buys from a store? And it just wasn't a thing. But over the last couple of years, it's definitely become a thing. And brands that don't have a developed, well-optimized store are absolutely leaving cash on the table. And, we find that this is true when we take over a brand for management. I think I posted recently on that one where, we grew the revenue like 4x or 5x over a couple of months. But basically a brand store, it's like your website internally on Amazon. And so every brand that's registered has one. If you haven't built it out, then yours basically looks like a search results page, right? It's just basic. It shows all your products, but the customer doesn't see anything special. Brand store, you can put a ton of great imagery, graphic design, video content. You can put animated GIFs and moving background videos. There's a whole ton of things that you can do there. And there's a lot of reasons on why it's really important to do and why it works so well in terms of brand growth. We'll get into that, I'm sure, in a second.
And you also see that Amazon also giving sellers and brands a lot of more tools to, you know, develop the stores, and they're pushing it, which is the direction of the future of Amazon. What do you think are the crucial kind of components of an effective store from your experience after testing few things, and how
Yep.
can sellers can really, you know, not really spend too much efforts by creating really like visually appealing, and of course appealing stores that will affect the bottom line of which are sales?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that you should try to shortcut it, because every well optimized store that I've seen has had a higher average order value than the detail pages, and higher, uh, um, uh, hi- more higher amounts spend, and then higher more in terms of number of products bought than on the detail pages, right? So like if you look at like your business reports, it'll tell you, you know, you're selling 1.02, you know, sales per customer with an average order value of $42, right? Storefront, if you go into
So
the insights, it'll unpack those, and every time we've optimized the store, those numbers have gone up. So it's not something to sleep on for sure. I think immediately, like every other visual piece of candy on Amazon, you want to really connect to your shopper in a very powerful visual way from the beginning. So that would be a really good top banner. Um, and then you've got a fair amount of space. And so you can have a banner above the top, which you really want to be powerfully represent your brand, and then some nice visual. I would generally say I lean away from video above the fold right there on the homepage. Um, uh, uh, Things that move tend to decrease conversion when people land on them, right? So
interesting.
there's still a lot of things to test out on this. It's that's the case on a website for sure, right? So like, you know, websites that have those like scrolling, you know, top, they
Carousel.
look, yeah, the
Yeah,
carousel, they look super sexy, they look really cool.
they
But
will
I have
convert.
friends that own, yeah, I have friends that own CRO companies, and without exception, those convert worse. So, you know, we've kind of stolen some of that data and brought it over. So, but you want to have the biggest mistakes I see is you can do really pretty landing pages, home pages, but you need to have places for people to buy at least your best sellers on the homepage, right? So a lot of times people make all these pretty graphics, but there's no way to add anything to the cart on the homepage, which means someone's got to make one extra click to buy your best sellers, and you don't want them to do that, right? It's okay if your secondary products and things, they've got to go into interior pages, but on the homepage, your best sellers have to be available, right? And whenever you can have an add to cart button on the homepage, better, and you can mix it in with really beautiful graphic and images. Um, you know, it's the only place on Amazon that you can talk about a product in a graphic right next to a way to actually add it to the cart. Yeah, even on A plus, you can have a picture of the image, right? But you got to go back up to the top to
But
add it to the cart. So it's really powerful, and no one can advertise on your storefront. So you've got a very captured audience there, right?
that's a good point. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Can you actually do A/B testing for a store, or it's not something you
I
can
don't think it's
test?
part of manager experience experiments yet, but the insights are so good, right? Like literally, if you
Yeah,
click on the store insights page, they're so good.
there's a lot.
You know, you've got page views, you've got um, the sources of those page views, you've got average order value, you've got the average number of units per buyer. You actually, it goes down to a dollar value per visitor, right? Even then, so it takes everyone that didn't buy plus everyone that bought, and that's a sexy number as a brand as you start getting that up there. We had a
Yeah,
previous client that their revenue per visitor was like $23, not per
per
buyer,
visitor.
per
Oh,
visitor. Yeah,
wow.
we had that when we re-optimized their store. That was it was pre-optimization was 13, and we took it to 23.
Even 13 is high. It's good.
Yeah,
We're selling
well,
well.
premium products. They sold high-end pet travel stuff.
That's
Yeah.
cool. It looks like it's a really strong brand. So they're doing good job. Now, do you have experience? I had in my store. I have another brand for toys, and in this brand, Amazon approached me and they actually designed the store for me. Do you like recommend? I mean, I don't really know like what kind of background they have as far as conversion and all of
Yeah.
that. But do you have experience with this service that they offer? They offer this for free. I remember last
Yeah,
year
we
or two
haven't
years
used
ago.
I've never seen Amazon work that I've really liked. Like their Amazon images, they're just generally not great. Like if you want to have them do their like if they offer to do your white background images, great. But anything that requires a level of creativity,
It's like the
that
service of Amazon PPC. Like they're sending you
it's like Amazon
sorry,
managing your
but
DSP, right? Or
yeah,
or we've all seen the Amazon advertising recommendations, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah. So that's
basically
answer.
here's a list of how you can spend more money.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, that's great. So with that being said about the store, about all these benefits that you can get, how practically sellers should really approach this as far as driving sales and traffic to the store?
Yeah.
They should do like run headline ads and directly to the store. Like what are the most effective ways as far as advertising to push those visitors into the
Yeah.
store and increase the order value and all the other stuff?
So ironically, the biggest traffic source to your store is your detail pages. It always is. It's the vast majority of your traffic, right? So we don't think about it as sellers, right? But people are going to your detail pages, and then either the store link at the top or the one on the side, they're clicking on your brand, and they're going to your store. If you go into traffic sources, you'll see that if you're not running a lot of advertising, 90+% of your traffic's coming from your detail pages. And so these are people that are basically saying, okay, I like your product, right? And they're going to your store for one of a couple of reasons. They're looking to validate themselves the purchase before they buy it, right? So I want to learn more about this company because I don't know who they are. They're saying, cool, this product's awesome. Let me see what else these guys make and sell, right? Which is why a lot of people go there, right? So but either way, they're looking for another point of validation. So that's why you really want to put the effort into to design it well. Because if your store is a letdown, like if your images on your page are really good and your A+ is great, then they go to your store and like it looks like you ran out of creative budget, like that doesn't bode confidence, right? So in order to drive the most traffic, you just have to continue to drive traffic to your detail pages, right? With all the ways that you know how to do it. Beyond that, though, like the free ways are Amazon posts, right? Most clicks on Amazon posts ends up back on your store, right? Posts are one of those things where like we kind of know they work, but no one really knows that they work because there's no sales attribution, right?
There is no sales.
So yeah, but put it this way. If you get a benchmark of stats on your store insight, let's say you're averaging, $12 a bit, $3 a visitor, whatever, and then you start running posts and you can start seeing the engagement and that moves up or down, or the store, increases, it had something to do with it, right? If you didn't change anything else.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, but so the thing with posts though, like for me, is it's a much lower purchase intent, right? Like, so it's different than being on the detail page and then going over there, because the detail page, like you're looking to buy. Posts, like you're looking to learn, right? You're looking to see something interesting. It's kind of more like Instagram, right? So you're looking to be entertained, learn something new, blah, blah, blah. So, and then obviously, anything that you're running within sponsored brands in terms of advertising has the ability to get back to your storefront as well. And then, if people are playing around with off Amazon traffic, generally speaking, we've seen the conversion be better running to your store with multiple product purchases than to a detail page. But that's something you've got to test and play with.
I tested, didn't work good for me. Actually, the
Oh, really?
detail page worked better than the storefront. But I guess, it's case by case. It depends also how your
Yeah.
store look like. My store wasn't optimized, so
And it
I
depends on
couldn't
what
really
your product set is, right? So like if you have one thing specific and that's the one thing, it's going to go better convert to the detail page. If you have 4 or 5 products that are somewhat similar but not variants, you'll probably get a better conversion going to your store.
conversion. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So, you mentioned something very interesting. People come to your store from your detail page to kind of get more confident and to know who you are. And, so that would lead me to the next question. What kind of common mistakes do you see? And I'm sure that's one of the mistakes that people are not implementing. They are not really adding elements to create this confidence
Right.
or distrust. So why don't you add up more stuff that people doing that
Yeah.
is wrong, in addition to the add to cart that you mentioned before and to
Yeah.
this thing?
Not having a store by far the biggest thing not to do, right? So just get something going. So, I would say like reusing all the creative content from your detail pages, like just don't do it. It's so bad. It's like reusing your images from your image stack in your A+. Like, why are you showing the same things to the same person? Like they know it's the same. It's
We're
not going to
doing
help you
it.
at all.
We have to fix it.
Yes. So I didn't know. So I don't know. But, and the thing about it is like, Amazon is getting much more of a creative play, right? So creative and design, images, video, all of this is getting, more and more popular. And the length of time people spend on Amazon now is increasing and increasing and increasing, right? Like the fact that, I mean, a lot of people don't even know that this Amazon Live exists, right? But people sit there for hours and watch these content creator shows, right? Like QVC or Home Shopping Network. So you want to engage them. The average person is willing to spend more time on Amazon. So focus on engaging content, right? So I just said not necessarily movement at the top, but having video on your storefront is very powerful, right? Having images that are different from your detail page is very powerful. Images with creative content and good copy next to where they can buy it. As I mentioned before, tell your brand story. Give yourself a tab.
I'm writing notes.
Yeah, give yourself a tab on your, like, our kind of formula, like depending on how big your catalog is, right? If your catalog's not big, you really need one page, right? If your catalog's like if you're only selling 5 or 6 SKUs,
Yeah.
just get a page. The only reason that you'd ever want to do additional navigational SKUs with a catalog that size is for advertising. So you can give a product focused landing page for your ads, right? So, and it doesn't take much to build out the interior pages. But give yourself a page for your brand story and do a good job on it. Get a good brand video where you really can capture. First of all, make sure you have an interesting one, right? If your brand story is going to be, we're a small business run
located in
by
Florida.
me and my dad, like get creative and make it interesting, right? If you're giving something to a charity with your sales, make sure you're focused on that and that you tell that really, really well. But your brand store is also a great place to like dive in if your products are complicated, complex. If you've got complex instructions or compatibility issues, like get into this stuff and handle kind of like you would on your detail page, but spend some time on it. We have a client that's a market leader in a space and they have a whole page that's dedicated to education, right? So they're educating the consumer and their customers on why they're the best in the industry, right? And that very much lines up with how they do business off Amazon, right? So it's one of the few places to really, really highlight your market differentiators if you have them, right? Do you have superior manufacturing? These things you're going to touch on in your detail page, but you can really drive them home on your store.
Yeah, you just gave me an idea because we have a product with a patent pending, and everyone just started to copy us until we get the patent approved. And that's a way to really show that we are the original and the first one in the market. So you just gave me a good idea to create a
Boom.
page just on that, you know?
Yeah, and that's a cool story, right? It's different, it's interesting, right? I mean, very few products on Amazon are going to have a patent, right? So tell that story, and it's cool. You know, like you could even like get, I don't know if the patent's on like if it's mechanical, if it's got a kind of cool design, but I could even see like the creative of like going back to like the stages of like the CAD drawing of designing the patent. If it, well, I don't know if
I
that
like
fits for
it.
your product and all, but that could be cool. Like if it was a machine, like early stage, and you show these kind of different steps where you unpack it, kind of
Yeah.
like a CAD drawing would be to, because that's generally where patents start if they're design
Yeah.
patents.
Yeah. Or through the idea, why we actually came with the idea in the
Yeah,
beginning, like
100%.
timeline kind of nice. Nice.
And
I
then
like
you
the idea.
can like if it's an idea, generally speaking, right, it probably solves a problem, right? So like to get into that conversation, where do you have that opportunity on Amazon? Like that's it, right? So like the why of this is really could be very powerful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can also do it with the A Plus Premium. It's
You can.
giving you also some nice features there. That for anyone that is interested to learn more about you, your services, your company, or follow you over social media, how they can do that.
I do most of my business social media on LinkedIn. So just Keith B. O'Brien on LinkedIn. Our website is page.one. There's no .com. It's just .one. Um, and you mentioned else before we close up, you mentioned Premium A Plus, which is interesting. And so this is like, it's so new. Like we're just such a data-driven company, right? So I'm always like, I love new features, but we've got to like, okay, think through this a second. Like, there's a lot of features on a Premium A Plus that I really don't have a lot of data behind them, right? So like, there is this the carousel feature, right? Which again looks really cool, but until they show us that like the people that actually make it move and see everything, like you have all this content you think people are going to see, but I would suggest that most people are not seeing it because they're not used to scrolling on A Plus like that left to right. You know, it just came out. So for years, it's up and down only. So left and right is new, and they're not everyone's going to click on that to go across. So I wouldn't put anything that's super relevant that is important for people to see in that carousel.
Yeah, yeah. I would also like that they have a cool FAQ sections and video for sure. It's the biggest thing.
100%.
That I feel that
Yeah.
it could help. But yeah, you said LinkedIn. Definitely follow Keith on LinkedIn. You have really cool data and posts that he's sharing there. That's how I found you, and I'm happy I was able to find you through LinkedIn. And you said page.one.
Yep. Just page.one.
Page. Nice domain name. I like it.
Thanks.
All right. So thank you again for the opportunity to have you here. I know you're busy, and I hope to see you in the future, maybe talking about other topics.
It'd be my pleasure, man. Appreciate it. Reach out. You're local, and we'll sip a coffee or crack a beer one day.
Would love to do it. Thank you. See
All
you
right,
next
man.
time.
Take care.